Welcome to God is Open. I'm your host, Christopher Fisher. Today on God is Open, we're going to be talking about Psalms 17. And I'll use Psalms in the plural when I'm talking about a singular chapter. That's fine. I tasked my kids today with coming up with 10-minute speeches. Each person grabbed a random psalm and gave a speech about it. There's a lot of open theistic themes within the Psalms. My goal is to try to get my kids, of course, to become competent public speakers, to put together thoughts, put together bullet points, and to be able to expound on things that they're reading. And I think Psalms, grabbing random Psalms because they're fairly standalone, is a good way to give them some sort of subject material which they're unfamiliar with, which they have to piece together what's going on. But the psalm I picked to give them an example was Psalm 17. And this did not disappoint. So I just grabbed a random number. 17 sounds pretty good. And going into it semi-blind, you kind of know what the Psalms are a little bit. But going into it semi-blind has a lot of open theistic themes. This is a prayer of David, Psalms 1. We'll read from the ESV, but then we'll switch over to what I believe seems to be a better translation, because a lot of times there are some awkward phrasings in the Bible which can be ironed out with translation and makes better sense in context. So it's not necessarily whatever translation you're reading has got it right. There are alternatives, and sometimes those alternatives make better sense. But ESV, a prayer of David, hear a just cause, O Lord, attend to my cry. This is very thematic in the Psalms, and with the Psalms that my kids picked for their presentations and this Psalm here, that the Lord is in heaven and the Lord hears cries which go up to him. And so God receives from the earth, or from creation, from enemies who are constantly blaspheming his name. I think it was in one of my son's Psalms that's how it ends. He said, there's like, Lord, all these people just sit here and they blaspheme you continuously. They are profaning your name. And you're just sitting there and listening to it without action. You need to stand up, God. You need to respond to this. You need to put these people in their place. You need to put them down for your name's sake. And because why would you want to be sitting around hearing all this? Constantly, continuously act, Lord. Kill your enemies, save your righteous, and protect your own name's sake. That's a psalm that one of my sons picked. But King David says basically the same stuff. Hear a just cause, O Lord. Attend my cry. Give ear to my prayer from lips free of deceit. He's saying, I'm not lying in what I'm going to say, Lord. These things that I'm saying to you are true. They are true, so you should listen to them, Lord. This is an appeal for God to listen to and then respond to King David. King David thinks that he can influence God, and he's influencing God in such a way where he's giving credibility to his statements. He's saying, these are true things that I will be telling you. From your presence, let my vindication come. Let your eyes behold the right. And so probably a better translation comes from the Word Biblical Commentary, and it says this, let my judgment come from you. May your eyes see the right things. Let your eyes see the right things. And how they take this is, he's directing God to focus on the details that are true details that further his case, further his evidence. He's asking God to not look at false things that might sway God against his plea, against what he's trying to convince God of. Look at my evidence, see that my evidence is true, pay no heed to the falsehoods that might be said against me. Lies from my enemies that are coming against me. Don't listen to those lies. Listen to the true things that I'm telling you. I'm giving you a true account. Remember, he says that his prayer is spoken without deceitful lips. That's the language. My prayer is from lips free of deceit, saying, I'm not lying. Listen to me. Ignore my enemies. They're liars. They're lying to you. What kind of view of God does he hold? Does he have an idea of God that has all true propositions in his mind continuously? He has an idea of God who can be swayed by arguments, by evidence, who's evaluating and deciding, and who might consider counterclaims against King David. King David is hedging his bets against these counterclaims, against perhaps false petitions to God. He's saying, filter those out. Don't respond to those. He says, you have tried my heart. You have visited me by night. You have tested me, and you will find nothing. So this is another testing verse. And you will find nothing is in the future, but as Word Biblical Commentary does state, it could be you have found nothing. You've tested me previously, and you've got nothing on me. Basically, he sets himself up as a righteous, one of God's chosen, or one of God's a God-fearer who is in the right, who is not evil, and he will go about trying to make that case. Remember, he's presenting a case to God. He says, God, act on my behalf. I'm not lying to you. I'm presenting you true things. I'm a righteous individual. I'm a God-fearer. I'm your guy. I follow your words. He says, I have purposed that my mouth will not transgress. With regard to the works of man, by the word of your lips, I have avoided the ways of the violent. He says, I listen to you, God. God, I listen to the things that you command for me to do, and then I do them. I am a righteous individual. You should listen to me. You should heed my prayer. You should come avenge me, kill my enemies. We haven't got there yet, but basically it's a call on God to act and kill his enemies. My steps have held fast to your paths. My feet have not slipped. I call upon you, for you will answer me, O God. Incline your ear to me. Hear my words. So he's expressing faith in God, that God is going to respond. And this is a good strategy for anyone that you're trying to convince to do anything. It's assuming the sale. So if you start talking about moving and you want a friend to help you, and you say, hey, what kind of beer do you want when you come over to help me move? You're assuming the sale, and they're more likely to say, okay, yes, I will be showing up to help you move, and I would like whatever type of beer. Or if they don't drink beer, hard liquor. No, nothing like that. But it says, I call upon you, you will answer me. O God, incline your ear to me, hear my words. This is a petition. Listen to the things I'm saying. Consider the things that I'm saying. God is a God who makes active decisions based on current petitions. This is a personal, interactive God that King David is describing here. It says, wondrously show your steadfast love, O Savior of those who seek refuge from the adversaries at your right hand. Notice he switches to praise. He says, hey, God, you're powerful. You do these things. You protect your righteous. But guess what? I already described that I am one of your righteous, so you should step up. If you want to uphold this namesake for yourself, you should act to protect your own namesake. And that's pretty common in the Psalms as well. You should act for your own namesake. These people, they're blaspheming you all day, God. You should kill these people. Kill them, they're blaspheming you, and protect your own image. And that's what King David is doing here as well. This is an argument. He's writing this for a reason. He's writing this to convince God. His phrasing is not arbitrary. Keep me as an apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. And as he's describing literal wings, maybe not. It seems to be figurative, like a mother hen protects the chicks. That's some imagery that we see throughout the Bible. So probably figurative use of these two different phrases. Protect me, God. Make sure I don't die. He says, from the wicked who do me violence, my deadly enemies who surround me. They close their hearts to pity. With their mouths they speak arrogantly. See, these guys are boastful. God, you like to destroy the boastful. They have now surrounded our steps. They set their eyes to cast us to the ground. He is like an eager lion to tear, as a young lion lurking in ambush. So he moves from a plural enemy to maybe a specific enemy. He's got a specific enemy in the mind. Maybe this is King Saul when he's tracking down King David, that he's pursuing, he's ready to devour. This is a primary individual who's likened to a lion. Could be King Saul. Arise, O Lord, confront him, subdue him, deliver my soul from the wicked by your sword. From men of the world whose portion is in this life, you fill their womb with treasure, they are satisfied with children, and they leave their abundance to their infants. Now, this is a very weird verse. So this is what I was talking about, that sometimes you're going to be reading the Bible, and you're going to come across very weird phrasing, and chances are that since Hebrew is a complicated language, probably something's lost in translation. So this is reading this. The standard commentary on this verse is, oh, King David has his mind on the spiritual stuff, and his enemies actually have worldly desires. They want to get a lot of treasure and have a lot of kids, and King David is far above that. Whereas in the Bible, you actually see the opposite is true, that the people who are the God-fearers, those are the ones that God blesses with abundances. We're looking at Job. in the book of Job. We're looking at Abraham. We're looking at even King David, who is a faithful God-fearer, who's blessed with many wives, a lot of money, and a lot of kids. And so being wealthy and having children is associated with God-fearing. And so it's very interesting that this verse would say that the men who God's supposed to kill, God's filling their lives with children. That's just kind of weird. So we're going to turn actually to the translation that's in the Word Biblical Commentary and see how they translate this. Kill them by your hand, O Lord. This is the wicked he's talking about. Kill them from this world, for their portion from among the living. Kill them from among the living, put them in the realm of the dead. But your treasured ones, so there's a shift in focus. So it's the contrast with the evil ones, now with the treasured ones, God's righteous, who the poor that he saves earlier. But your treasured ones, you will fill their belly, sons will be sated, and they will bequeath their surplus to their children. So the righteous ones, give them a bunch of children, and you're going to be giving them the inheritance. You're going to be blessing these people. I, in vindication, shall see your face. On awakening, I shall be satisfied by your form. And so this is hope of future redemption. So notice how this goes from the enemy, you're going to punish and kill, to the righteous, you're going to bless, to myself, I'm going to wake up in vindication. See your form, being satisfied in your form. Is he talking about seeing God face to face? I tend not to think so. I think this means when you come and avenge me, I will see your form. This is your workings in the world. But it could be an appeal to see the body of Yahweh. Could be something like that, but I don't believe that is the case. But I do believe that this translation is better, that those who serve God will be blessed with treasure, with children, and with inheritance for those children. So notice a lot of things about this psalm. King David this is a psalm to convince God. It's written to God for the specific purpose of moving God to action. And a lot of psalms are actually phrased like that. God, this is the current case. This is what you should do. And here's a long list of reasons you should do that. Also, here's some praises to go along with that. You're mighty, so please do this. I will praise you. There's bargaining that, if I die, you're not going to get my praise, things like that. This is a heartfelt psalm to convince God to do something, to stir God to action. And implicit in all these psalms is that the inaction is being criticized. God is being criticized by his petitioner for not moving, for not acting in this certain way. And the petition is formed in such a way to incentivize God into the path that the petitioner thinks would be best for God to take. The petitioners often lay out what they see as the righteous way of acting, and they compel God to take this path. The path of greatest righteousness, the path of justice, the path of how they see God should be governing the world. And King David is no different. So this is King David's perception about God, and we see this throughout the Psalms, that God is living, God is relational, God can change, God can be petitioned and bargained with, that God responds to the prayers, the praise, and the lives he cares about, the lives of his people. So that was a little bit over 10 minutes, but everyone gets the idea. Just a good strategy to get your kids, sit them down, and have them present some of these psalms and start thinking about these things. What's the perception of God in the mind of the writer? How do they view God? What are they doing? What's the purpose? Who is it written to? Who's each individual psalm written to? And what's the underlying message? What's the message behind the message? What is the message actually saying, and what is those sentences? What are those words, that combination of words? What are they meant to accomplish? What are they meant to do? And again, petitionary psalms are meant to move the heart of God. Anyways, questions, comments, put that down below. Thank you for listening.